Hello, everyone. Welcome to Module 4. I'm Dr. Atag, and today we're going to talk about integrative bargaining strategies. First, let's talk about what are integrative cases where we need to not only use distributive value claiming strategies, but we need to create value and solve problems looking from a very creative problem-solving perspective. We will not only discuss the integrative bargaining strategies, I will specifically ask you to start utilizing some of these strategies in your personal conflict situations, in your business situations or family situations. You will notice that integrative cases are more complex, more realistic, more real life cases where a clear solution is not visible, but how to collaborate, how to create value for both of us to come up with win-win solutions. That's today's topic. I would like to start with an example that we discussed before. You will remember the two sisters fighting over a red apple. And we talked about how if the sisters who needed one apple each per their recipes simply divided the apple from the middle, it could be a value claiming strategy. So each sister gets 50% of the resources that are at the negotiation table. Or it could be a different distribution if one party can anchor the other party really well, convince the other party strongly, use a lot of evidence why their recipe is more important or more, urgent for them to have it right now, etc. Maybe they can get 75% of the apple while the other sister gets 25%. Or if I'm really good at distributive negotiation, I can get the whole apple while the other party gets 0%. Or some sort of another allocation like 70-30 or 80-20. But these were the value claiming strategies. I gave you a bunch of distributive bargaining strategies about anchoring, improving your BOTNA, using fairness and different type of language, convincing language, while not falling for their request for fair, just solutions, because many times what people refer to as fair is not really fair to you. So I ask you to use those distributive bargaining strategies. And today we're going to move on to the value creation strategies. And remember, I explained value creation as two sisters actually sitting down, not settling very simply without further, problem solving, but sitting down, really trying to understand, why do you need the apple? What are you going to do with the apple? What does the recipe really say? Let's get into the details. And that was a collaboration strategy, understanding the other party's need. In this case, one party needed the apple peel just for decoration. The other party needed the inside to make a pulp out of it. So when people could understand each other's underlying needs, they would actually give and take those issues, give and take those resources to create win-win outcomes. In this case, one sister got all the peel they needed, one sister got all the apple they needed. So it almost felt like both of them got one apple necessary for their recipes, although it was just give and take. So this was the value creation, where it increased the value for both, because both parties got exactly what they wanted out of the situation. And it almost felt like there were two apples. So the value, the resources get enlarged. And this was an integrative situation. Now, in real life, this is possible in many different scenarios. Integrative cases almost always always involve multiple issues. Remember, distributive cases involved only one issue. That was one important thing for both parties, which was mostly price. They're trying to agree on a price. But integrative negotiations will have multiple issues, maybe how much apple do you need? What will you do with that apple? What part of the apple do you need? When do you need it exactly? Think about the business situation where you want to purchase something, but then you want to pay it in multiple installments. And you want to pay it with Zelle as opposed to a check or cash or whatever. Or you want to purchase something, but you want it to come with certain accessories. So there could be multiple issues involved in even a simple sale negotiation. And if you can create more issues to include in your negotiation scenario, then you have an opportunity to enlarge the pie by basically capitalizing on the differences in parties' interests. Because one party will prefer one thing, the other party will be interested in something else. And I'll give you more examples, just like the apple peel and the inside example. So you can engage in using those different needs and underlying interests. You can engage in give and take, which creates win-win solutions. But integrative cases also almost always includes a distributive component. So there will be this one contentious sort of a competitive issue in integrative negotiations too. Now, I will go over a particular case with you. This is a multi-issue integrative negotiation case. There are two parties. Let's start with Chris Sands first. Chris Sands is an entrepreneur with 5 years of experience investing in small businesses. You've been considering investing in a catering business and have been talking to a chef, JP Martin, who has culinary science degree and 5 years of work experience as a chef, which includes winning a prestigious prize in a gourmet food competition. Following some extended discussions, the two of you decided to meet to see if you could set up a business catering to parties and weddings under the name of At Your Service. So basically here, you have some money and you want to put in as little money as possible as an entrepreneur. You would like to ideally pay like $5,000 into the total needed money to open up the business. You guys calculated that you need $35,000 to open up this business. But the more you add in to over $5,000, the least you prefer that. There could be 10,000, 15,000, 20, 30, 35,000, but you want to invest as little as possible into this business. Now, the other party is JP Martin, a chef with culinary science degree and 5 years of work experience, which includes winning a prestigious prize in a gourmet food competition. You would like to open a catering business, and you've been talking to Chris Sands, an entrepreneur with 5 years of experience investing in small businesses. And you want the entrepreneur to pay most of the money. You feel like you're the chef, you're bringing the culinary expertise and knowledge and pretty much all the day-to-day tasks. So you want to pay as little as possible. Preferably, you want to pay $5,000 and put all your expertise and chef experience into this. But if you look into the whole scenario, looking into the meeting, is it only how much money we're going to invest in the money? It is not. That's the most important issue, the contribution to working capital that you and Sam, the two parties will each make. How much you're going to financially invest in this, is the number one issue. The other issues are the location of the kitchen, the catering kitchen. It can be at a sort of an obscure small street or sort of a busier, larger street for people to, see where you are. Maybe possibly in the future, you can open up a cafe there, etc. And the size and the age of the delivery van different parties want maybe different things, and the quality of the kitchen equipment. So there are 4 negotiation issues. Remember, issues means the clauses or the topics you would like to discuss. And there are 4 issues to discuss in this negotiation. You see there are multiple issues, thus it's an integrative negotiation, which means there's an opportunity to collaborate and understand each other's needs clearly in terms of these issues and create a win-win solution. The 2 sides here need to understand in order to collaborate in a conflict situation like this, where parties may have probably different interests. You need to understand the relative importance of each of these issues for the other party. Maybe you think the most important is the contribution, financial part. Number 2 is the location. Maybe size or the age of the van is not that important to you, and you couldn't care less about the kitchen equipment, right? But this is your own ranking. It is really important to understand in a collaboration situation, really what is the ranking for the other party. And it sounds like not that important an issue, but it is crucial to win-win negotiations. Because the moment you understand that something you don't really care that much is actually very important to the other party, it gives you a chance to offer something very valuable to them, and in return ask for something that's really valuable to you. The second thing we need to identify in a meeting, an integrative negotiation meeting, is what do each parties really want per issue. Now, I will show you what I mean by that. What do you want in terms of each of the issues? Let's think for the contribution. We may understand both parties want to invest as little as possible. For the location, what kind of a location do I want? You need to prepare, and in your negotiation planning document, you need to have a clear understanding of your target location, right? Where do you want to be? How much is the rent there? How much will the maintenance cost there, etc. What kind of a van do I want? As a chef or as an entrepreneur, what kind of a van do you think is the most important, most necessary for this particular job? For a catering, a small business, or what kind of a quality of kitchen equipment do you want? And then again, what you need to do is to really understand during the meeting, what are the specific positions the other party has? How much do they want to contribute? What kind of a location do they want? What kind of a van do they want? So prior to the negotiation, you will establish your target, your bottom line, the worst offer you would accept. You will think about your BATNA. If I can't make a deal with this person, what is my alternative? Where am I gonna find another partner? Or am I gonna get money from my family? Or, what else will I do if I don't make a deal with this person? So in your planning document, you will prepare all this. But in the meeting, your job is to really understand the relative importance of these issues. What is their ranking for the other party? And what do they really want for each of these issues? The moment you identify the differences in terms of the priorities or underlying interests, they will give you opportunities to creatively solve this problem, because it will show you the opportunities of give and take. Excuse me. Now here, I would like to show you something. Many times in real life, you don't need numbers to know what you want in a negotiation, right? I want this individual to pay me this much money. I want this type of a van. Maybe there is some calculation going under that understanding, this van is more expensive, this is cheaper, maybe secondhand, maybe it has low mileage, high mileage, whatever, and there is some financial consideration about it. So you already know these things in real life, getting into a conflict meeting to discuss the situation with the other party. In negotiation cases, though, when we want students to actually experience these situations, we give them value sheets. These sheets show you these are the issues to negotiate: the capital, the space, van, and equipment. And it tells you what kind of options are there for each of them. For instance, for capital, Sans can pay 5,000 and Martin can pay 30,000. And you see all the different combinations of allocation of these financial investments, ending with Martin paying 5,000 and Sans paying 30,000. Now, if you look at Martin, obviously Martin wants to pay as little as possible. So if Martin can agree to a deal where he pays or she pays only 5,000, they will earn 85 points. If you look at Sans wants to pay 5,000, the smallest amount, which brings them 85 points. Now, the worst options do they move to? The points that they're earning goes down. What does it mean? Exactly showing that the top points will come from your target, all right? And the more you go worse and worse and worse, the less points you will get out of this. This is just like it's mimicking a real life situation of what you want to do. Now, we're getting into a negotiation with the students. We ask the students, try to collect as many points as possible. So see this conflict situation almost like a game, but a real life game. Try to collect, negotiating with this individual, collect as many points as possible. So now you know that you want to pay, as Martin, you want to pay $5,000 and collect these 85 points. And the Sans wants to pay $5,000 and wants to collect 85 points. Now, this is, again, these point systems help you understand your priorities and interests, getting into a negotiation simulation, mimicking a real life scenario. And the reason why I'm going over this is that after your distributive negotiation exercise, now you will experience in this module an integrative negotiation exercise. And there will be multiple issues, and you will have a point system just like this. It will show your interests, your positions, and it will ask you to try to find the best deal that brings you the highest points. So I want you to be really clear what this system does and why do we have all these point systems trying to mimic the real life. Now, going over to the second one, the second issue to discuss is the space. The options are, there's a storefront A, moderate size, high traffic, and this is what Martin wants as a chef. They really want a high traffic, environment. Possibly in the future, maybe we can turn this into a restaurant or a cafe in addition to a catering business. And then there's a smaller size, high traffic area. There's a moderate size, low traffic area. And then there's a shared space shared with some other company, a large size or a small size. So these are the options. And while the chef wants storefront A, Sans wants shared space E, small size, because probably they're just very cost conscious and this is the cheapest option. And now, van is the third issue to discuss. The chef wants Toyota 160 new. There are other options: 120 new, Toyota 200 used, Toyota 160 used high mileage, and Toyota 120 used low mileage. The chef wants the brand new Toyota 160, and then Sans wants the cheapest. Obviously, as an entrepreneur, they're very cost conscious. Toyota 120 used low mileage. And the one thing I'd like you to see is that the capital brings 85 points to both sides because this is a very important issue to them, while space brings 75 points to Martin, which signals that Martin cares more about the capital and a little less about the space, because this has a point value of 85, this has a top point value of 75, which means that it is less important than the capital. And similarly here, please observe that space carries 65 points for sans, which means that it is less important to sans than the capital. And less important than the van issue, because van issue carries 75 points for sans. So if you are sans, the most important issue for you is the capital. The second most important issue is the van, because it brings 75 points. And the third most important issue is the space. While for Martin, the capital is the most important issue. The second is space, and third is the van. And you can see that basically sans cares most about van, and Martin cares most about the space. But before you have a dialogue and ask questions and share a lot of information back and forth, it will be hard to know this. You can't really mind read and know the other party cares a little less about this thing. You need to have a lot of, dialogue, perspective taking, questions, trying to understand their ranking. And going back to this, please observe that relative importance of these issues are extremely important to create win-win arguments. You really need to identify this difference between the parties' ranking of space and van issues. It is crucial for Martin and Sans to figure out in this meeting that space is more important to Martin and van is more important to Sans. If they can't figure that out and they keep fighting, that's what they will do. Like, give me that, no, give me that, and sort of it's like pulling a rope, not problem solving. The equipment is the fourth issue. You will see that there is used top quality equipment, new mid quality, used mid quality. There are 5 different options. And please observe that both of the parties want the same thing here. Both of them want equipment number 3, which is used mid quality. Both the chef and the entrepreneur want the same thing here. So they should, if they share information and understand each other's interests very much, they should be able to agree that, both of them want the third equipment package. And please observe 25 points is really small relative to 85, 75, 65. So this is the least important issue for both of them. Now, when we look into the big picture now, for Martin, the number 1 issue is capital. Number 2 issue is space. Number 3 issue is van. And number 4 is equipment. So in their planning document, when they're ranking the issues, they should use exactly this ranking. And for Sans, in their planning document, the negotiation issues should be listed in this rank order. Number 1, capital. Number 2, van. Number 3, space. And number 4, equipment. As you can see, capital is a distributive issue because both parties care very much for both of them, and they want exactly the opposite things. They want the other party to pay more of the money. So this is a distributive issue where you need to use a lot of distributive value claiming tactics. You will see that these two are integrative issues where there are differences in the underlying interests. So there's an opportunity to do give and take based on the other parties and your interests. So you want them to get what's most important to them, and you want to get what's important to you by offering an exchange. And you see that the fourth is a compatible issue because both parties want the exact same thing. Now, I'm going to show you some results. I've been teaching this case with Calpul Pomona students for many, many years now. And I'm going to show you just a sample bunch of results. On average, I see about 80% deal making in this case. There are some potential positive zone of possible agreement. So there's positive ZOPA, where both parties can actually create value for themselves. So ideally, if the parties can have an open and clear dialogue, they should be able to make a deal. But sometimes size, it may be that one party wants to get every single thing to the, highest point, and the other party maybe feels disrespected, and, you're not giving anything, etc. Or maybe using power tactics or threatening the other party. I can go find somebody else, etc. Then those parties cannot make a deal. And remember, your goal in a negotiation is not to make a deal, but it is to make a deal that creates value for you. So if a party is being extremely strong-headed and they are using threats and power tactics and they want to get everything, important, you cannot accommodate the other party because this is an important business deal for both of the parties. This is an important issue for you. You want to establish a good relationship with this party. You can't just let them make you a doormat. You're getting into a long-term business partnership. And again, if somebody is doing this to you, your best bet is to say, thank you, it was great meeting with you, but I think I'll try to find another alternative. So your job is not to make a deal, but to make a deal that's valuable for you, that brings you points. And many sides, many dyads, many duos. Dyad means a duo. Many student duos can actually find a deal to agree on. Here are some options. There was an impasse in 3 deals in this particular group. If you look into the options, you see there's a variety. And remember, capital was the distributive one. So many times in distributive ones, you see, that parties sort of try to move the needle from the extreme ends, which hurt the other party a lot. So you see a lot of 3, 4, 5s here. There is only one here, which is like the one party getting basically everything in the capital, the other party not getting much, but then they balance with some other options, I guess. But I wanted to show you something here. One, equipment was a completely compatible issue. So everybody wanted 3, but you see that one party agreed on number 4. This is sort of an expected thing. Actually, 30% of the time, according to research, parties have trouble identifying the compatible issue because of the contentiousness or the competitiveness of the whole issue, or parties not sharing clear information transparently with each other. They can't even understand that they both actually wanted the third option, and so both of them lose points here. So this is leaving money at the table, not understanding the other party at all. So it's just, another sign how important open dialogue is important in conflict resolution. And please observe here, one party is getting paying very little and sort of like pushing the other party to get very little points there. And please observe, look at the points earned by both parties. The strong-handed party here got 185 and the other party got 75. So this is a win-lose type of a situation. In real life, I don't think anybody would agree to this at all, because this party, Sans, the entrepreneur, looks very happy out of this deal, right? But the other party really isn't happy. So what are the odds in real life a chef would actually get into a deal, a long-term business partnership in such an important, it's a small business, you're opening a business. What are the odds that you will actually get into a deal with this individual? This is an entrepreneur. You're going to do all the work, right? You're going to pretty much, do all the handiwork and cooking and, the daily tasks, but they pretty much push all the financial pressure on you. So they got most of the points, you didn't. So I don't think in real life, anybody would actually make a deal like this and get into a partnership with this individual. I would argue it's also similar to this. There is a 200 to 75 points there. Again, Christians, the entrepreneur, being really dominating to the chef. So you see there are these 150, 85, 165, 85, one party claiming so much more value than the other party. So this shows the percentage distribution of two parties' points. Here, the chef got so much more of the resources. You can even calculate a percentage. Out of total of 207 points, 165 went to Martin, 42 went to the entrepreneur. Again, I'm not sure if this will be a realistic situation where entrepreneur gets so little out of a business deal. Here, there's a complete compromise, 70-70. Both parties compromise, meaning they didn't have a long dialogue and really try to understand each other, so they couldn't collaborate completely because they gave up very fast and they didn't do a meaningful value creating give and take. They gave up their desire and make compromises very fast. So they got both. They got very little points. And also the total value they created was very small. So basically, if you look into the total points, you will see that the total points is the size of their pie. Think about the complete size of the resources. It could be 1 apple or 2 apples, right? You could increase the sources. That was value creation. The total points give us what was the total value created in this negotiation. Here you can see the total pie was 285. Here it was 275. And see, there were some really small ones, 205, 140. There was even one deal. I don't know why the chef said yes to this. They got 0 points out of this. I think they just wanted to open this business, they felt desperate. But so the total size was 90. But please see the difference. Different duos talking, asking each other questions, trying to understand the issue from their other party's perspective, using different techniques. Some of them could create very small value. They couldn't understand each other. Maybe they had a very short discussion, or maybe there was negativity going on and they weren't actually being transparent, sharing the information. So the total size of the resources, the total value was 90, 140, 205, while some duos did a great job transparently sharing, doing give and take and reciprocity, and they could create a lot of value, 285, 275. And again, this side, the total points show us the total value created. So this is the value creation. Look, there could be a particular deal which would create a value of 280 points, or 265, 270, which was not observed in this particular group. So total points are the value creation, but the distribution of the points between two parties showed the value claiming. For instance, here, lots of value was created, but most of those value Christians claimed. Or here, there was value creation, some level of value creation to 250, but most of those value was claimed by the chef Martin. So this distribution is the value claiming, how competitively you could argue your point and claim value, but the creation of more and more total points actually meant that you were actually asking questions, understanding where to do give and take. Now, this was an example that I wanted to go over with you so that I can build the integrative strategies using this real life example. So if you like, you can take a break at this point in the video and come back to listen the rest of the integrative strategies. Or if you weren't clear about the case that much, you can actually go back and listen to this negotiation case one more time to be really clear about it before we start the integrative strategies.